Hello, and welcome to the MSW program orientation module regarding field placement. My name is Amy Kirby, and I serve as the MSW program coordinator for the MSW program here at UW-Milwaukee. You may find it useful to have a pen and paper available and take some notes. After this PowerPoint video, you may also want to go to the UWM Social Work Field Education web pages and look around and familiarize yourself with the different resources and documents you will need for applying to the field placement. A separate orientation to field placement specifically will be required of you right before the first day of the semester in which you will begin your first field placement in our program. You will receive emails informing you more about how this will work leading up to the start of the semester. For now, let's get started setting the stage with the general field placement process for the MSW program at UWM. Simply put, field placement is your social work internship. In our MSW program, you will receive course credit and a grade for your field placement time and learning. Field placement is one of the areas in our program in which you must receive a grade of B or better to be considered as passing to the next level of field placement. Our MSW students complete either 3 or 4 total semesters of field placement while earning their MSW degree. These semesters will be time during which you'll be doing your field placement and other classes that are determined in consultation with an advisor. I'll talk more in the next module about what determines if you'll be the 3 or 4 semester student. It's also important to note that you will need to expect that 16 to 20 hours a week of your time will be devoted to your field placement experience. In social work education, we view field placement as a critical part of your education and experience. The field experience will give you an opportunity to see the social work profession in action in a way that just reading about does not, especially when it comes to concepts like social work values, ethics, experience with diversity, and offering the laboratory, so to speak, in which to examine how the theory you learn in class operates in the real world. And not the least of which is that the Social Work Education Accrediting Body, CSWE, the Council on Social Work Education, identifies field placement as the profession's signature pedagogy, or basically the signature learning modality. Social work field placement will provide a wealth of learning opportunities. This is most especially true when you have your eye out for and you're looking for those learning opportunities. Field placement occurs in real and imperfect agencies, organizations, and social systems. This will provide you with opportunities to experience the full realm of what it will be like to practice as an MSW social work professional, the good, bad, and everything in between. You will be challenged to practice and refine your relationship development skills, not just with clients, but also with coworkers, supervisors, administrators, and other social workers from other organizations. Keep in mind that field placement is the ultimate networking opportunity. You may find the organization you do your field placement with is hiring around the time you're graduating. Or maybe that organization is not, but your field supervisor knows of another organization that is and refers you to a colleague in that organization. These kinds of circumstances happen all the time. In the end, the field placement gives you a basis for the experience you need to keep moving forward in your MSW career. The end of your field placement is not where the learning ends. In fact, it's just the beginning. When an MSW student starts their sequence of field placement semesters will depend on a variety of factors, like whether or not they are a foundation or advanced standing student, whether or not they are taking classes on a full-time or part-time basis, etc. If you are a full-time student who has their BSW degree and is considered advanced standing, you will most likely want to begin your field placement sequence right away in the fall. If you are a full-time student who has foundation classes to complete, you will most likely be starting your field placement in the spring of your first year in the MSW program. If you are a part-time student, whether advanced standing or foundation, you have time and you won't be beginning field placement for a number of semesters. Setting up an individualized course plan with an advisor will help clarify this for your particular circumstances. Before getting into the details about how the field placement process will work, I want to offer this brief summary to keep in mind. You will not find your own field placement. Our department serves as the link between you and your potential field placement sites. You will have to interview with and be selected by the placement site for a field placement. Every field site and field placement experience has different requirements or options for what days of the week and how many hours a day you will spend at your field placement site. Field placement schedules become quite individualized. The vast majority of our field placement opportunities are during weekly business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Even for programs and institutions that are open more flexible hours, like hospitals, nursing homes, or residential treatment centers, for instance, the social workers providing supervision and the critical client care and structured service programs generally are not available during off-business hours. This greatly limits the opportunities for field placements during evenings and weekends. I cannot stress enough that if you are only available for field placement in the evenings and/or on the weekends, we can't make any guarantees about being able to match you with a field placement. We do have some very limited number of field placement sites that have some placements available evening and weekend hours, but we have more students who would ideally like that field placement schedule than we can offer placement opportunities for. We highly encourage our students to communicate with their employers and/or make other arrangements to secure a flexible work schedule that allows for field placement time during at least many weekday business hours. The more flexibility you have will increase your placement options and opportunities. Before we move further to digging into the details about applying for field placement, I offer here a few final notes about the overall process. You will signal your interest in a field placement and begin the process by applying for field early in the semester before you begin field placement. This will include participating in a criminal and caregiver background check. When your application is completed and processed and the background checks are finalized, you will receive an email from our social work office confirming you may contact the assigned field liaison to set up a meeting. This liaison is the clinical faculty from our program who will assist you to secure and follow you through your field placement experience. At this meeting, the liaison will learn more about your interests and career goals, as well as your scheduling and other relevant needs pertaining to field placement. Resulting from this meeting, the liaison will refer you to an agency for an interview. Students will only interview with one site at a time. Be sure to research the agency before your interview and demonstrate your interest in the agency and the opportunities they would offer. Be prepared to ask questions about the agency and the supervision you will gain at the site. If you do not have much experience with professional interviewing situations, please be sure to review this in advance with your field liaison. Upon a field site offering you a placement that you accept, you will work with the field site and your liaison to establish the next steps of the plan for starting the field placement. As you will recall, I mentioned that our MSW students have either 3 or 4 total semesters of field placement to fulfill. By now, you've heard the language advanced standing and foundation to distinguish between students who have a bachelor's degree in social work earned within the past 5 years and those who have a bachelor's degree from a different discipline or area or a BSW from more than 5 years ago. Our advanced standing students will have 3 total consecutive semesters of participating in field placement. All of these field semesters will be in one agency or setting. The field course numbers for those 3 semesters will be 722, 821, and 822. One exception to this is for students on the school social work track. Obviously, the K-12 schools in which you'll be gaining your field experience are only in operation in what corresponds to our fall and spring semesters. So you'll have a placement in a school that is for 2 semesters, and we'll work with you to determine a separate 1-semester placement that's not in a school setting. Our foundation students will have 2 different placements for 2 consecutive semesters each. The first placement will be the course numbers 721 and 722. Your second placement will be for another 2 consecutive semesters, and the course numbers will be 821 and 822. For many students, the first placement may lead right into the second placement so that you have 4 consecutive semesters in field placement just at 2 different places. But there are some flexibilities about this that you will determine in consultation with an advisor as you set your course plan. For each new field placement, not each new semester, just each new setting, you will have to apply for field. Keep in mind that you will do this before the semester in which you want to begin that field placement. Recall that I stated in the last field placement video that in general, full-time advanced standing students will begin field in fall right away. Foundation students, even those with 721 exemptions, you are generally best to begin field in spring of your first year. And part-time students, you won't begin field for at least 2 semesters or more into the MSW curriculum. And when you do start, it can be any semester of the year, fall, spring, or summer. Essentially, 3 semesters of field placement is the minimum amount of field placement that will be required in our MSW program for anyone, advanced standing or foundation alike. Foundation students could receive an exemption from 1 semester of field placement, that being the 721 level, on the basis of at least 2 years professional social work experience or having had an undergraduate internship through a different discipline that is similar to that which might be experienced by a social work student. Evidence of either the professional experience or the other internship will need to be provided to the Director of Social Work Field Programs for consideration for this exemption or waiver from 721 field. There is a form on the MSW field application webpage that can be used to make the exemption request and to supply the supporting evidence. It's the 721 exemption form. This is a multi-purpose form, so listen up, you advanced standing students also. While we essentially consider your exemption from 721 field automatic, we do require you supply a 721 exemption form with your field application, noting that you have a BSW degree earned in the past 5 years as a way of confirming your waiver in our system from this field placement and all other foundation courses. In a few moments, I will demonstrate where to find this form when we explore the MSW field webpage. Please note that I am talking in generalities here. This is how it is for most students. However, I'm sure some of you have unique circumstances or have a number of exemptions, etc., other things that we need to consider. In the end, your best way to ensure you are sequencing things the right way and in the right timing for you is to devise a course plan with an advisor. And be sure to check in with an advisor anytime anything changes in your plan for any reason. This slide demonstrates the windows of time within which you must apply for a new field placement. As you see, for new fall placements, a student should apply for field in the window of February 15th through May 15th. For a new spring placement, apply between July 15th and September 15th. And for a new placement that starts in the summer, January 1st through February 15th is the window to apply. Keep in mind the last dates of these windows are the deadlines and are very important. If you apply after the deadlines, you may not be able to be considered for a field placement for the semester that you were intending to begin, and you might have to wait to begin field placement, which may throw off your whole course plan and the time frame in which you are hoping to graduate. Don't be that student. Some exceptions to these time frames are these. For school social work, we ask that school social work students apply for field by February 15th before the fall they are planning to do their school placement. For those of you who are planning to start a school field placement next fall and you are newly admitted and couldn't apply by February 15th, don't worry. We know this dynamic is tricky for new admits, and we expect new admits will be applying for the school field placements now. But do it now, as soon as possible. Do not wait until May 15th. Apply for that school field placement ASAP. If you are a foundation student wanting to focus on school social work, your school placement will be in the fall of 2021. You have time, but be sure you apply for fall 2021 field placement by February 15th of next year. For the Milwaukee Veterans Administration, unfortunately, they offer us no flexibility but to have a student begin field placement in fall only each year, and students must apply for field placement by February 15th. Sometimes they'll give us a little wiggle room into March, but not much. If you are interested in a placement with veterans, but have missed this deadline, be sure to indicate that interest on your field application when you do apply and discuss your options with a field liaison. And if you are hoping for a placement outside of the Milwaukee metro area, do know we have successfully placed students all around Wisconsin. But please apply for field at the earliest point you can in the windows listed here. We need time to collaborate with you in seeking a suitable placement. In other parts of Wisconsin, we may not have the primary placing relationships with agencies that MSW programs closer in proximity to those placements might have. So we need more time to cultivate or reestablish some of those possibilities. The application forms themselves are found on the website for the social work field program. They are forms that you'll fill out electronically. You'll save them locally for yourself to your own device, and then upload them to a web page when you're ready. Complete the 2 parts of the application and all prompts as thoroughly as you can. There may be some things that you can't fully answer at the time that you have to apply. Sometimes things like class schedule aren't entirely known at the time you apply for field. Do your best and note the things you do know when you apply. Part of your field application will go to a potential field site when you are referred for an interview. So keep in mind this application represents you, much like a cover letter does when you apply for a job. But it doesn't have to be perfect to submit it to the field office to get the process started. You will have an opportunity to edit, change, or update your field application in consultation with the field liaison when you get to meet. An important part of the field application process is having a criminal background and caregiver background check, similar to that which is done for employment in many social service settings. When you are at the stage of the process to do the background check, our social work field office will prompt and instruct you about how to do it. Essentially, though, you will facilitate your own background check through a company we contract with called Castle Branch. If you have more than one placement, you will need to update the background check for each new placement. I want to take a moment to show you what I just described about the application process. Here we are at the homepage for the UW Helen Bader School of Social Welfare. You can get to the social work field web pages through a link under the listing of social work programs. Now here I am at the social work field homepage. Over here on the right-hand side, you will see a number of field relevant links. I'm going to take us to the MSW/post-MSW field program page. On that page, I'm going to scroll down to the section titled General MSW Field Application. You'll see a link to detailed instructions about the application process, and then the links below it will take you to the application forms, parts 1 and 2. Fill out both parts and save them locally to your own device. Earlier, I mentioned the 721 exemption form. You will also be able to fill out that document and upload it with the application for field. When all your documents to apply for field are ready to be submitted, go here to the Submit Application button. You will upload the application parts and any other documents. Some other links you'll find down here under other application-related documents will show you things like examples of agencies students have recently been placed at. There's a document for particular circumstances where you'd like to see if you can do your field placement at the place you work. And finally, check out our document on professional interviewing with the interviewing tips sheet. This page also has a number of other relevant links and documents that you will reference once you get started with the actual field placement. And over here on the right-hand side allows you to navigate to other important links that you will reference in the future once you are in placement. Play around in the site and become familiar with what you see here. Many of your field questions will be answered throughout these links. After you submit your application and it's processed by our administrative office, you'll be instructed further about the background check, as I already mentioned, and you'll be told who your field liaison is and how to reach them. You will then need to reach out to that person and schedule a meeting with them to continue the process of securing a field placement. The communication about your field application will generally be only through your UWM email. Be sure once you submit a field application that you are regularly checking your UWM email account. If you have any troubles in these early stages after admission about your UWM email and you're applying for field placement at this time, you should alert our Social Work Administrative Office at sw-office@uwm.edu so that you don't miss any field application communications. After the month of May, this generally isn't an issue for new admits to the program. It is important to contact your field liaison as soon as possible upon hearing from the social work office and at least get a meeting on the books with the field liaison, even if that's a little way out in your schedule. Waiting too long will make it difficult to get a meeting with them in the time frame that will be beneficial to your referral to preferred agencies. Large numbers of students are being placed or are in placement at all times of the year. If you wait too long to apply and/or follow up with your field liaison, you may not be able to begin a field placement when you are planning. Following from your meeting with a field liaison, in which potential agencies were identified, you will ultimately be referred for an interview. If multiple agencies of interest are identified by you, you will be asked to prioritize your preferences, and we will only refer you for an interview to one agency at a time. We work to avoid a dynamic of shopping around, either by students or the agencies. Any questions you may have about how this works and how to explore options should be directed to the field liaison when you meet. Some individualized circumstances that may come up in the process of securing a field placement include these things. If you have any charges or convictions that come up in the caregiver or criminal background check process, you will want to discuss these with your field liaison prior to being referred to an agency for an interview. The field liaison will want to discuss the specifics of your situation and work with you to strategize how you will address the hit during the field placement interview. Generally speaking, past offenses will not prohibit you from a field placement or working in the social work field. However, certain offenses and situations could limit the settings in which you can practice. We'll want you to be well informed in advance. Some placements, particularly those in healthcare settings or residential centers and some other types of organizations, may require you to have a pre-placement health screen. This might include things like a drug screen, health assessment, providing evidence of immunizations or getting up-to-date immunizations, having a TB test, etc. Going through these pre-placement health requirements will be at your personal expense with your preferred providers. Using the UWM-Norris Student Health Center is generally an option for most health screening needs and can be done at discounted rates. Your field liaison will discuss this further with you if it is a requirement of a placement you may be interested in. And then a small handful of agencies have some requirement for having a vehicle and confirmed car insurance. Again, if this applies to an agency you might be interested in, the field liaison will discuss this with you in advance before even referring you for an interview there. Being referred for an interview doesn't guarantee placement at that site. Part of your job is to impress and secure the placement through the interview. Sometimes placement sites are interviewing multiple students for a placement opportunity. Sometimes you may not be selected for a placement, not because you weren't a good candidate, but maybe you just weren't the top candidate. Don't fret, we will keep working with you and we will refer you to another site. Sometimes a student isn't selected due to more specific concerns like the ones listed here. The field liaison will talk with you about any reasons for not being selected for field placement after an interview. If you're not selected for a placement after 3 interviews, and it's for reasons beyond simply competition factors, you may be required to reassess your readiness for field placement in your social work education with the field liaison and field director. As we near the end of this module on the MSW field placement process, I additionally want to note some things about the minimum courses that are required to be taken while you're in field placement. 721 is that foundation level of field placement for which some MSW students will be exempt. For those who are not exempt and are beginning field with the course number 721, you will enroll in a 50-minute a week on-campus field seminar class. In addition to the seminar with your 721 field course, you'll generally also be enrolled for another practice class, that being 709. We will schedule the seminar to be either right before or right after the 709 course to allow for consolidation of student scheduling. For the 722, 821, and 822 field courses, there is no additional seminar on campus. All of your field hours will be at the field site. However, there are certain courses that should be taken along with particular field courses as listed here. 722 is taken with 711 for direct practice students or 713 for community and organizational leadership students. 821 field is taken with 811 for direct practice or 915 for community and organizational leadership. And then 822 field is generally taken with what we call a third practice course. I don't expect you to commit all of this to memory. My point in sharing this is to be sure you're aware that there are certain other course requirements when you are in field placement. Working with an advisor is critical to making sure you're sequencing everything correctly when you plan your courses and register. A field liaison can assist you if you have questions about the 721 seminar. Phew, okay. I know this has been a lot of information to absorb. As I bring this module to a close, I just want to offer a final perspective on your MSW field placement experience. Keep your mind open to the new challenges, growth, and development that can come along with the field experience. Even negative experiences provide lots of opportunities for learning. Field placement can bring important networking and employment opportunities. Focus on building relationships and developing your skills where you can. You will inevitably be making a difference to the people you serve while learning at the same time. If you have any special or unique circumstances or additional questions related to field placement that you'd like to review before you apply for field or before you're assigned a field liaison, you may reach out to Jeannie Wagner, our Director of Social Work Field Programs. Thank you for your time in reviewing these orientation modules and becoming prepared to start as an MSW student with us in the fall. I speak for all of the faculty and staff of the Social Work Department at UWM when I say we look forward to having you join us in the fall.